Welcome back, y'all. We are back at Wiki Reads, and today we're going to be discussing the fastest man-made object ever created. The object itself was not self-propelled. It has a propellant that made it the fastest man-made object ever made, and that is going to be Operation Plumbbob that we'll be talking about in the United States. Operation Plumbbob was a series of nuclear tests that were conducted between May 28th and October 7th of 1957 in Nevada test site, following Project 57 and preceding Project 58. What were those? Project 57 was a open air nuclear test. That's when they were just blowing it over the sky, and then everybody was getting sick. Nice. All right, so a little background. The operation consisted of 29 explosions. I didn't know they ran it that many times, of which only 2 did not produce any nuclear yield. 21 laboratories and government agencies were involved, while most of Operation Plumbbob tests contributed to the development of warheads and intercontinental intermediate range missiles. They also tested air defense and anti-submarine warheads with smaller yields. They included 43 military effect tests on civil and military destruction, radiation, biomedical studies, and aircraft structural studies test. Operation Plumbbob had one of the tallest tower tests to date in the nuclear testing, as well as a high altitude balloon test. One nuclear test involved in the largest troop maneuver ever associated with nuclear testing. Approximately 18,000 members. That's a big group of people that got to keep a lot of secrets. Members from the U.S. Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines participated in the exercise Desert Rock, whatever, VII is in Roman numerals, and VII. So was that 7 and 8 during Operation Plumbbob? The military was interested in knowing how the average foot soldier would stand up against the physical and psychological to the rigors of a nuclear battlefield, tactical nuclear battlefield. Probably not well, if I had to guess. Almost 1,200 pigs were subjected to biomedical experiments and blast effects studies during Operation Plumbbob. On shot Priscilla 37 knot kilotons, I believe that's one on shot Priscilla 37 kilotons. That's the size of the nuclear bomb. 719 pigs were used in various experiments on Frenchman Flat. Some pigs were placed in elevated cages and provided with suits made from different materials to test which materials protected best against the thermal radiation. As shown and reported by PBS documentary Dark Circle, the pigs survived, but third degree burns to 80% of their bodies. I bet they were, pretty much cooked bacon at the end of the day. You probably just take a slice off of it and eat it. Other pigs were placed in pens behind large sheets of glass at measured distances from the hypocenter to the test effect of flying debris on living targets. Studies were conducted of, I wonder where they buried those pigs at. Or what did they do with them? At the end of the day, they couldn't just let them go back out. Oh no. Radioactive contamination of fallout from a simulated accidental detonation of a weapons projects concerning Earth's motion, blast loading, and neutron output were carried out. Nuclear weapons safety experiments were conducted to study the possibility of nuclear weapon detonation during an accident. On July 26, 1957, a safety experiment Pascal A was detonated in a unsteamed hole at the Nevada test site, becoming the first underground shaft nuclear test. The knowledge gained provided data to predict nuclear yields in case of accidental detonations. For example, a plane crash. If you didn't know, there's like 2 or 3 nuclear warheads on the East Coast somewhere in the ocean, like one in Savannah. I think there's one in North Carolina, Might be two in Savannah, or one in Savannah, one near Charleston, one in North Carolina, something like that. The John shot on July 19, 1957 was the only test of the Air Force Air 2 Genie rocket with a nuclear warhead. It was fired from an F-89J Scorpion, wild-looking airplane, fighter over the Yukon Flats in the Nevada National Security Site. On the ground, the Air Force carried out public relations events by having 5 Air Force officers and motion picture photographers stand under ground zero of the blast, which took place between, so they stood right underneath it, 18,000 feet to 20,000 feet in altitude. The idea of demonstrating the possibility of the use of the weapon over civilian populations without ill effect. The 5 officers were Colonel Sidney Bruce, later professor of electrical engineering at Colorado, died in 2005. Let's see when these dudes died. So Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ball died in 2003, 2 years apart. Major John Hughes the second died in 90. Little separation. Major Norman, I don't know how you say that last name, died in 97. Major Luttrell died in 2014. And videographer George Yashitake died in 2013. So, I mean, they're also old, but the Rainier shot conducted September 19th, 1957 was the first fully contained underground nuclear test, meaning that no fission products were vented into the atmosphere. The test of a 1.7 kiloton could be detected around the world by seismologists. That's crazy. Using ordinary seismic instruments. The Rainier test became the prototype for larger, more powerful underground tests. So awesome. They can hear it around the world. So let's go bigger. What could go wrong? Images from the upshot knothole cradle were accidentally relabeled as belonging to the Priscilla shot from Operation Plumbbob in 1957. As consequences, publications, including official government documents, have the photo mislabeled. The shots can be told apart by the trails of test rockets, which prominently featured the images and footages of Grable, but appeared most completely absent of the shot of the actual Priscilla shot. So, this is where it gets cool. This is the only part that I care about, really. The missing steel bore cap, which is basically a manhole cover, so that's what we'll call it. In 1956, Robert Brownlee from Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico was asked to examine whether nuclear detonations could be conducted underground. The first subterranean test was a nuclear device known as Pascal A, which was lowered down a 500-foot borehole. However, detonated yield turned out to be 50,000 times greater than anticipated. A little bit of miscalculation there, Mr. Brownlee. Creating a jet of fire that shot hundreds of meters into the sky during the Pascal B nuclear test on August 1957. A 900 kilogram, 2,000 pound steel lid was welded over the bore hole to contain the blast. So 2,000 pound manhole cover over the bore hole. Doesn't say how wide it was. Despite Brownlee predicting that it would not work, when Pascal B was detonated, the blast went straight up to the test shaft, launching the cap into the atmosphere. The plate was never found. Scientists believe the compression heating caused the cap to be vaporized as it sped through the atmosphere. The high-speed camera, which took a frame rate of a millisecond per millisecond, so frame per millisecond, was focused on the borehole because studying the velocity of the plate deemed scientifically interesting. No, they just wanted to see how that thing was going to go blasting off and how fast they could make it go. I mean, it's Men doing men things, like throwing a rock into a pond, make splash, cool. After the detonation, the plate appeared in only one frame. Regarding its speed, Brownlee reckoned that a lower limit could be calculated by considering the time of between frames. And I don't remember what that was. And joked that the best estimated was going like a bat. Brownlee estimated the explosion combined with the specific design of the shaft could accelerate the plate to approximately 6 times that of Earth's escape velocity. Let's get some numbers for this thing. Alright. Is there any numbers in the notes? No. That's not what I needed. I want to know how fast that thing went. Alright. Let's see. Operation Plumbbob. Manhole cover speed. Let's see what our best friend AI says. Manhole cover from Operation Plumbbob refers to the Pascal B test. We already knew that. Estimated 125,000 miles per hour, potentially exceeding Earth's escape velocity. Yeah, that's pretty. That is very fast. 125. What's that in kilometers per hour? Is 201,168 kilometers per hour. So it is moving. I don't even know what to compare that to. 125,000 miles per hour. I mean, how long? What's the distance around the globe? All right, distance around the globe is 24,901 miles. That should be pretty simple math, but we're not doing simple math. We are doing simple math. I just don't feel like doing simple math, So you could go around the globe 5 times in 1 hour, going that speed. So you travel it in 1 time, and the SR-71 Blackbird, the fastest plane ever built, flying perfectly at Mach 3 plus cruise speed perfectly, would do it in 11 hours to 16 hours. And that is perfect. If everything works correctly, fueling's working correctly, everything. But that manhole cover can do it in 5 hours, or can do it 5 times in an hour. So, but that is all we got today. Operation Plumbbob, pretty cool. A lot of nuclear tests that went on during that time period. But until next time, guys.